What's up, guys? True Crime King is back. And, alright, so, as you guys probably heard by now, Alec Baldwin and the armorer, Halyna Gutierrez, have both been charged with involuntary manslaughter for the shooting on the set of Rust, where a girl was actually killed, the camera girl, because she was shot with an actual bullet. Now, why there was an actual bullet in the gun on a movie set is anyone's guess, right? That's gotta, I guess that's why the armor is being charged as well. But someone had to pull that trigger of the gun, right? Because the guns just don't go off, unless someone pulls the trigger, right? Or they fall. But Alec has always said, or tried to say from the beginning, that he did not pull the trigger. The hammer fell or whatever. Well, I don't know. We're gonna look at that in this video. We have a prop expert that's going to show us how this gun works, and if indeed he thinks Alec Baldwin pulled the trigger. So, hit that like and subscribe button, and here we go.
Joining us now to talk about this is prop expert Steve Wolf. Steve, thank you so much for being here.
Hey, Natasha, thank you so much.
So we saw in that interview with News Nation's Chris Cuomo that Alec Baldwin says he did not technically pull the trigger. With your experience, is it possible for that gun to have gone off without him pulling the trigger?
Not only is it my opinion that that gun could not have gone off without pulling the trigger, but that's also the opinion of the FBI after they evaluated the firearm. I can understand, however, why Alec thinks he didn't press the trigger. This is a replica of the gun that was used. I'm putting it upside down just so you can see what's going on with the trigger. If you pull the hammer back, as he said he did, and release it, the hammer does not fall, and the gun would not fire. If you...
Well, okay, so the hammer does not fall unless you press that trigger, right? So
then press the trigger, the gun goes off. However, if you grabbed the gun like this, which we have footage that he was doing, he's applying gentle pressure to the trigger continuously, and then when he pulls the hammer back and releases it, the gun fires. So that's what happened, and that's why...
Okay, so what he just proved was the only way for that gun to have fired was if the hammer's back and Alec pulls the trigger, or if he's not if he's already holding the trigger down and then pulls the hammer back, then the hammer, as soon as he let go of the hammer, would fall back and the gun would go off. So he might not have pulled the trigger. He might have already been holding the trigger down or putting pressure on the trigger. Those are the only two ways the gun could have went off. And as for the actual bullet being in the gun, that is why, in my opinion, they arrested the armorer, because that's her job to check and make sure there's no fucking live bullets on a movie set, that still baffles me, but yeah, and the FBI agrees with that Alec pulled the trigger, or either pulled the trigger or had his hand, on the trigger. So, and the FBI has an incredible, like a 99% conviction rate. So Alec's screwed on this one, in my opinion. But put your comments if you have something different down in the comments.
incredibly
thinks that he didn't
helpful.
do it.
Thank you so much for holding that up. It's actually very helpful. Can you help us understand? I mean, some firearms, the trigger is a lighter touch than others. On this specific firearm and the one that he was holding today, how light of a touch would it take to actually pull that trigger?
Well, I'll show you. If you can take a look here at the trigger. So barely perceptible movement of the trigger. It's called a single action gun. And single action guns, all that the trigger does is release the hammer. So this is how the gun is designed, and that increases the accuracy of the gun. So Alec broke several of the gun safety rules, right? The first rule that everyone learns, all guns are always loaded. So a gun is loaded until you pick it up and until you clear it yourself. Now, Alec might say, oh, how can I figure out how to do that? Well, it's pretty simple. You turn the cylinder here, and you look in these holes, and if there's nothing there, the gun is clear.
Listen, Alec's a smart man, right? He knows what to say and what not to say, okay? He knows if he says on camera or to anybody besides his wife that he pulled that trigger, he's getting convicted, right? So he's obviously not gonna deny that until the grave, right? But when you pick up a firearm, it's your responsibility to, number one, not point it at somebody. I don't care if you're on a movie set or not. And, check and see if there's a live bullet or round in there. That is your responsibility. Okay, and again, that's why he's being charged with involuntary manslaughter.
So Alex he was given an opportunity to learn how to do that. He's like, nah, I got this.
Yeah, see, Alec thought he was too smart, right? Well, he's not too smart now, right?
And Baldwin stands behind his claims that he did not know the gun had live rounds.
And someone fucking died over this, so it's kind of a big deal, right?
We learned that there were multiple types of ammunition on that set. There were dummy rounds, blanks, and investigators say appeared to be live rounds as well. Why would there even be live rounds on a set? Should there ever be live rounds on a set?
Live rounds are in the world, and because of entropy, everything gets everywhere, and you have to assume that there's live ammo anywhere you are when you're working with these firearms. So this is a live round. This is actually a .45 long Colt, the same type of round that they were used. This is the cartridge, and this here is the bullet. So that's the size of the bullet that comes out of that cartridge. Now, in a live round, if you look at the back, you see the primer here is intact. There are no holes in the sides, and it's got a bullet on the end of it. You don't have to be too smart to understand the difference when you look here and you see the primer has a dimple in it. You look at the sides, you see they have holes drilled in them. This is what a dummy round is. And then finally, there are two BBs in there. But if you shake that, you can hear them rattle.
Yeah, so Alec, being a movie star, being on movie sets, and he was the assistant producer or producer on this for this Rust movie. He knew what a dummy round was. He just didn't. He thought he was too big and powerful, or whatever he thought, to check the gun, which he didn't. And there was a live fucking round in there, and he killed somebody. So he fucked up.
The rattle test that we've been hearing about on this case so far.
Do you believe that it is incumbent upon the actor to check with that sort of detail, with that sort of minutia, before action is called on a scene?
Well, all that we're asking him to do is to recognize the difference between rounds with holes in them and rounds without. Undimpled versus dimpled primers, I'll hold them up. They're very clear, so I don't call this minutia. I would say this is something pretty simple to see. All
he had to do was just check the gun, which he apparently told somebody on the set he didn't need to, okay? Because he thinks he's Alec fucking Baldwin. Well, look at you now, buddy. You killed somebody, and you're a clown now.
If anybody looked.
Thank you for watching. Go to News Nation.
I know some of you, like Alec. I think he does a great job as Trump on Saturday Night Live. That's about the only thing I think he does good. But put down in the comments what you think. If you think he didn't pull the trigger, whatever. Let me hear your theory. But until next time, True Crime King out.